Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Wednesday, October.
October.
15th. Spooky season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got a lot to talk about. It's obviously LSU Vandy week. We're going to talk a lot more about the LSU Vanderbilt game. Preview that more specifically, obviously, on Monday. We talked a lot about what happened last week against South Carolina and just kind of teased into the game. We're going to talk more about the game, more about the matchups. We're midway through the year, so we're going to give the Mik'd Up midseason awards.
The Mikies.
The Mikies. The Mikies. A lot to talk about. A lot of the awards, obviously, the defensive side has been the most impressive. We're going to get into that. But there's a lot to talk about on the football side of things. College football has another great slate of games this weekend. Another set of interesting matchups. Major League Baseball right in the middle of their...
You back on the espresso martini?
Huh?
Back on the espresso martini train?
I wish. I need one.
Yeah, it sounds like
It would come out
tongue
smoother.
sounds swollen.
It would come out smooth. It's probably the Zen you gave me.
Oh no! 3 milligram puss.
Yeah, it's not working. But we're going to talk a little bit about the Major League Baseball playoffs. Obviously, ALCS is game 3 is tonight. Mariners lead the series 2-0 against Toronto. Mariners are looking for their first ever World Series appearance, which is kind of crazy because if you go back, if you're a baseball fan, and you go back to 2001, that's when the Mariners had an elite team. That's when they had Randy Johnson, Ken Griffey Jr., Jay Buhner, all these guys. Alex Rodriguez, I think, was on that team.
You just on there before, A-Rod?
Jay Buhner.
Yeah, I remember him, yeah.
Jack Wolf. I mean, they had a bunch of guys.
Who wore the helmet on first?
Yep. Funny
John
story
Olerud?
John Olerud. Funny story about John Olerud. Played with Ricky Williams.
Ricky Henderson.
Ricky Henderson. And Ricky Henderson is known for not really knowing
anything
or anybody he's played with. Obviously, the story of him framing his first $1 million check without cashing it is very well documented. John Olerud tells a really cool story. Him and Ricky Wood.
Oh my God!
Him and Ricky Henderson played together in the past, and they played together again later on in their career. And Ricky said, "Damn, man, I played with a guy that wore a helmet just like
that."
And John Olerud said, "Yeah, Ricky, that was me.
It's me.
You played with me. That was me." Oh, all right. You know, it's just
how
funny.
You been?
It's just funny how sometimes like I play with teammates that didn't even know my first name.
Yeah, Mahtook.
They just didn't know. They didn't know it. They knew who I was, but they didn't know my name. It's just part of it.
It's like going to the tailgate at the party box.
Yeah, you see people.
You see people.
You know them. I know you. I don't know your name. Type thing.
I see you here 7 times a year.
Yeah, that's it. But
if I'm lucky,
we're gonna talk a little baseball. Not too much today. It's a must-win for Toronto. Obviously, I want to see them get to the World Series because our good friend Kevin Gausman is their ace. He is not pitching tonight. He is not pitching tomorrow, which is Game 4. He will pitch in a Game 5 if they get there. Obviously, not going down 3-0 is important. So that is going on here in about an hour. We'll be watching it and talking sports as we continue to go. It's Ask Mikey Mitch. I don't know if we promoted that. Jay Mitch is going to be fashionably late to the show.
CPT.
He is he's driving back to his home. He had some business stuff they had to take care of in Texas. He'll jump on when he can get free and available. But we talk about college football. I think the end is near for Billy Napier. It seems like Billy Napier has been quiet fired.
Yeah.
There's been talks about.
Do you believe these?
I don't know. I don't know if I believe it. They say he's going to get fired on Sunday. If that's the case, like if he is, like why would that even come out? Like if you're a Florida fan, you still want to be able to go out there and compete and still like put a good product on the field. If it is true that he's fired, the players are going to see the Twitter and all the reports, and they're going to be like, well, our coach is cooked, and now how do you go out there and play? I don't know. We'll find out on Sunday, but they have a game. Who do they play this weekend? I think it's someone pretty good.
I mean, if it was a bye week, that would make sense if that's when it came out.
Maybe it is a bye week.
Yeah, they don't play until November.
It's a
1st.
bye week. That makes sense. If that's the case, why not fire him now?
Yeah.
Why Sunday?
I don't know. Maybe checks. All of that.
Yeah.
Get your house in order.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
But does this Florida regime, and I would say somewhat Auburn, the way that they've been run recently, where it's kind of like fire no matter what, we're chopping heads. And this type of leak reminds me a little bit of the old LSU regime where news would come out, and you're like, I guess it's true. I don't know what to believe, but it's out there. Like whenever it was the Joe Oliva from Les Miles to Tom Herman to Ed Orgeron, or Jimbo Fisher.
Boy,
everything played out very publicly.
Yeah, we dodged a bullet with Tom Herman, didn't we?
And Jimbo.
And then
we're still getting,
gun to the head.
Still squarely pointed. I don't think we've dodged a bullet yet.
Oh no, we haven't. Look, but we're not.
It could be worse.
We're not in the conversation about
firing, hiring. Penn State's open.
Right decision, not right decision, whatever. I will say at the time of the hire, I believe that was the best decision at the time.
And that's why you paid him all that money.
And you paid I'm not at the time, the situation that the football program was in, the smoke that was surrounding the football program. You needed somebody to kind of right the ship and feel like you had everything moving in the right direction, right?
This is a great stepdad.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it works out or not long term,
he owns a couple car dealerships.
Still to be determined.
The other one was, I don't know how he makes his money.
Yeah,
but it keeps coming in.
Still to be determined, right? We don't know if it's going to work out. Listen, it could very much work out. It may not. But the job after,
him Dad.
Whether it works out or not, the job is a more desirable job than it was in 21.
Yes.
Right? And so, in that sense, it's a success. And if you want to go back and you want to look at it and you want to nitpick and you want to say all these types, that's all fine. But at the time of the hire, it was the right hire. But we're not here to talk about that because Brian Kelly is still the head coach at LSU. I believe he's still going to continue to be the head coach at LSU. He's going to hopefully win a bunch of games. This weekend is a big one. If he doesn't go to Vanderbilt this weekend and win, it gets considerably louder, right? Vanderbilt still has the stigma of being Vanderbilt. They are not your daddy's Vanderbilt.
Mm-mm.
They are a good team. They are ranked 17th in the country. They're 5-1. They lost on the road to Alabama 30-14, and it was a lot closer than that. And so it's going to be a tough game, but they're still Vanderbilt, and it still holds the stigma of being Vanderbilt. LSU, if you line up the rosters next to each other, LSU is more talented, and they should win the game. They're not favored to win the game. They're still 2.5-point underdogs. If you look at where all the money is being put on, it's being put on Vanderbilt. As of right now, this could change. It's only Wednesday. So this can change as it gets closer to the game. As of right now, 94% of the money is on
how
Vandy.
much?
94% of the money is on Vandy. And from this app that I'm watching, that I'm looking at. So, obviously, there's a lot of people. Look, and if you're watching the games and you're not an LSU fan and you don't listen to what's going on around the program and you're not paying attention to that type of stuff, and you're just going based off what you see on the football field, I understand why LSU is not favored. I understand why people aren't betting on LSU to win the game because they haven't shown you that offensively they are capable of going on the road and putting out a good performance. Now, I am not in that camp. I do believe that they have made strides. I think we saw that last weekend. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't what you want to see. But it was an improvement of what we've seen in over the past 4 games or 5 games before that.
I'll ask you this.
Okay.
If you play like you played last Saturday, but you play that exact same game, but it's at
turnovers,
everything,
same way it played
the
out.
same game, and you play it at Vanderbilt and I'll even give them 11 a.m. Do you think LSU wins or loses?
I think they lose.
I agree.
I think they lose. I think it's a close game, and I think they lose at the end of the game because I think that you give Diego Pavia and that team. They're obviously very much bought into Clark Lee.
They think they can win.
They think they can win. Clark Lee is a really good coach. The team is bought into Clark Lee. The defense is over there is significantly better. Their offense, obviously, with Diego Pavia And some of the guys they have out there are good. They run the ball extremely well and efficient. And, they believe they can win, right? And the most important thing in sports is the belief that you are going to go out there and win the game. If you don't believe you're going to win, you're never going to win. And so they have that. And so I think if you play the same exact game, hey, we move the ball over the field, but we can't get in the end zone. We turn the ball over 3 times or 2 times inside the 5-yard line. We only scored 3 points when we got inside the 5-yard line 3 times. We only scored 3 points. I believe that's something that sets you up for something crazy to happen at the back end of the game, where Pavia makes some crazy play and fluky play, whatever it may be. You just keep the game in balance. I believe you lose that game if you play the same way. Yes. Now, if you go and you play the same way and you take away a turnover inside, if you take away one of those turnovers inside the 5-yard line, right? Not 2, just take one of them, and you score one of those touchdowns, I think it's a different story. Now, obviously, you can't go back and say what if, right? Because it happened. But if you just take a step back and you look at the offense, there was improvement. The offensive line was better. Nuss looked healthier. And I think that is a sign of encouragement. Now, there were still some things that you wish you could have done better, been more consistent, that you're going to have to clean up, and you're going to have to take another step forward this weekend against a good Vanderbilt defense, a defense that obviously believes. I mean, there was one of their players came out that they said that they believe in their defense and that they are itching for a shutout. I don't believe they're going to shut LSU out. But if you see an offense that you saw, like you saw up until last week, if you saw the same offense that you played in the weeks prior, very well could. I don't think we're going to get shut out.
Because I think there's a lot of optimism about the way the offense looked without the points being the sole defining issue.
Correct. That's what I'm.
Because
that's what I'm
you didn't
at.
score much more than you've scored all year.
You didn't, but you moved
looked
the ball
better.
You looked better. You moved the ball better. You ran the ball better. Right? I mean, you averaged 6 yards a carry. You're able to run the football. And I think the most important thing that I saw was the willingness to continue to run. Right? We talked about that on Monday. I think the most important part was if you watch the first quarter, the way you ran the football, we didn't have a lot of positive runs. Right? But you were able to continue to do it. Then you saw it start to open up a little bit in the second quarter. And then gradually just got better and better as the game went on. You saw LSU break some big runs for the first time all year.
Not even big runs, just
I mean, they had 4 runs over 15 yards.
Right. And I'm saying it wasn't like the
no,
because you've seen LSU be able to hit you with the, as Brian Kelly
runs.
said, it only takes one.
Right.
It only takes one.
Right.
And as much as that's true, it's also very much not true because it also did not result in a touchdown either time. But you saw more of a consistent running game where you could hit them for 10 to 12 to 15 yards a run.
Correct.
And you ran it for the first time for over 6 yards a carry.
Right. And
that's a different run game than popping them.
Right? And it tires the defense. Right? It makes the defense it's constant pounding on the defense. It forces them to tackle guys all game long, and the more you make a defense do it, the more likely it is for them to get a little softer. And if you go back and you say, okay, well, if you look at Vandy's offensive numbers, they're outstanding. Their defense numbers are good too, right? And you say, oh, they haven't really played anybody. Well, they beat South Carolina 30-7. And, that to me was, if you look at that game, you're like, oh, shit, Vandy's real. Like, Vandy's here. They're here to stay. They're a contender this year as far as can beat any team that they play. And they go to Alabama. And they play Alabama extremely. They lost 30-14. The score is not indicative of how the game went. Vandy was up 14-0 with a chance of going up more. Pavia fumbles inside the red zone, and then Alabama makes the comeback. And it was like, I think it was 17. It was like 19-14 at some point, and then it was 22-14 or 23-14, and then Alabama scored with like 15 seconds left to make it 30-14 and made the game a little bit of a blowout. Now, I want to bring that game up because if you go look at the numbers, Alabama ran for just under 3 yards a carry. I mean, just under 4 yards a carry. Not anything to hang your hat on. Jam Miller ran for over 120 yards himself. I think it was 22 carries for like 120, 130 yards.
Got hurt, too.
Got hurt. But I think what's important is if you watch the first 3 quarters of the game, Alabama did not have a ton of success running the football. You go watch the 4th quarter, and that's when they really leaned on them and ran the football, had some chunk plays, and was able to run the clock out basically and extend the lead. And to me, that's important because Alabama continued to run, and that opened up in the 4th quarter. And you saw that from LSU last weekend. If LSU can kind of follow that same recipe, I think you could see similar stuff towards the end of the game again this weekend. Now, the problem that LSU had against South Carolina is a problem that I think may be consistent throughout the course of the year, and that's short yardage inside the red zone. Inside the 5, right? Like, hey, hard, tough yards when everybody knows you're running the football. They have not been successful at that this year. They were not successful at that last year. I don't know if that gets fixed, if that is fixable this year, right? You don't have to be great at it. You just have to be able to get a couple of them when you get down there. And that's going to be something to watch. Vanderbilt's strength on defense is what, Lloyd?
Getting pressure on the quarterback and stopping the run.
Right? Now, their secondary has some holes in it. Their secondary is gettable, but you have to be able to get to the secondary. We talked about that against Ole Miss. Ole Miss gives up a lot of yards on the ground. We did not exploit that. Hey, their secondary is gettable. We could go after the secondary. Well, when they dropped 8 in coverage and you didn't run the football, they no longer gettable because now they have everybody blanketed and they have a lot of guys out there, and you didn't make them get out of their defense based off running the football.
And you know what happens when that is the recipe you decide to put into the pot and pan?
What happens?
You bake up a fresh, fat L.
Correct. And, you know, on the road against a top 4 team now. They weren't a top 4 team when you played them. But
some would say they're a top 4 team because of who they beat. A top 5 team at that point.
Correct. They flipped with LSU.
Yeah.
They flip-flopped.
4-11.
I do believe LSU's offense is going to be better. I think that they're going to continue to take the next step. Nuss showed that he is getting healthier. I think he made the throws that you need to see him make. Lloyd has to see it 2 weeks in a row for him to believe in it.
I think you're on my team.
And I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree. I need to see him do it again. I think we're going to. You saw, take away the turnovers, right? Like that's part of his game. He's gonna be, I'd rather him be the gunslinger and make the throws than be cautious and not try to make the throws. If that makes him a better quarterback, right? You're gonna have to take some of the good with the bad. It's not perfect, but the balls I saw him throw against South Carolina, out routes from hash to the sidelines, deep balls that he wasn't underthrowing, gives me a lot of encouragement moving forward, especially with a secondary that is gettable. Offensive line, big question mark for LSU still. They played better. I think Cohen Eccles at guard was a nice change. I think he helped out a lot. You saw a lot more continuity in the interior offensive line. Brian Kelly came out and said Weston Davis is going to continue to be the right tackle. I know that's been a big point of contention for a lot of the fans that have watched the game. It's like, how are you going to keep doing that? I would not be shocked, and I've said this a lot, I do really like Karius Karen, but I would not be shocked if you saw Josh Thompson at some point move out to right tackle.
They asked him about that too.
And what did he say?
I don't know if he said we've certainly considered it.
That's my point.
But then he went on to say, this is Brian Kelly.
He's happy with Weston Davis.
Yeah, the same way he talked about Garrett Nussmeier, which we talked about a little bit this morning. I'm okay with the way that he talked about it.
Me too. I am
too.
At
least it's for the first time in Brian Kelly's tenure at LSU. He's not lying to me. Like, look, you see it, I see it, we all see it. That's just who he is. It's no longer, it's correctable, it's fixable. It's like, look, this guy's going to make some mistakes, and I think he's trying to say the same thing that we're kind of saying. I would rather him make those mistakes than neuter him. I'd rather him go fuck a couple strays in the park than just not run around at all.
Right.
And that's what you get with Nuss. Like, he's better that way. You don't get the Caden Durham completion without the Kyle Parker interception.
Right. Correct. And look, the Kyle Parker interception that one is like you're going to get that. The one that bothers me is the interception at the red zone and on the goal line, and that's just a bad read. And I say bothers me. It doesn't bother me. That one's more correctable than the one over, because the one over the middle of the field is part of the gunslinger mentality.
I see something.
Hey, let me try to make it. And look,
He
can make the throw.
Uh-huh.
He threw off his back foot and it sailed on him, right? Now the one in the red zone, that had nothing to do with talent. That was just okay.
Or injury.
Or injury. I saw something, I didn't see it right, and that happens too, right? You don't want to see it happen in the end zone, but that happens sometimes too. And so you're gonna have to take the good with the bad. I do believe the offensive line has a lot more. I don't want to say a lot more confidence going into this game than they've had all year. Hey, look what we did it. I think they did it based on they changed some of the run schemes.
They did.
I think that helps. The RPO run is not good, and I think that is going to continue not to be good because it doesn't. The offensive line with an RPO can't be as aggressive as they are on a normal run, where it says, "Hey, we're going forward, push off, jump, go off the line, and get some push." RPO is a little bit more of a patient run, and you have to the offensive line has to kind of sit back a little bit more, and so they're not as aggressive. And if an offensive line is struggling with the run game, you want them to be aggressive. And so the RPO game has not been super successful. I would like to see less RPO. You're going to see some of it, but I would like to see more of what's successful in the running game than what you've seen over the course of the first 5 weeks.
Yeah, and I listened to Matt Flynn talk about this, and he put it as you can't say pussyfoot, I guess, on the radio, even though I'm pretty sure you can. He said tiptoeing through the tulips is how he phrased it for the offensive line, because you're right, you can't. If you
can't go downfield, because if he picks up and throw it, you can't be an illegal man downfield.
And if you can't really block it already, to make a decisive call of it's a run play, and then Brian Kelly followed this up with, we couldn't teach them how to. We had to teach them how to fire off the ball before we could correct the blocking issues. So it sounds like, to me, a very interesting way of coaching it, I guess, as to be like, we've never played football before. Like, we're firing off the ball. Good. We should be doing that.
Right.
It's college.
Correct.
And then, but now that he's simplified it to this point of firing off the football, now it's attacking the angles and getting to the point of attack. And but you can't do that if you don't fire off.
No, and look,
I like how he explains football to me. It really does. Very refreshing.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yes.
Okay. Part of the RPO game, and this is, I think, what a lot of people don't.
Put your right tackle and left tackle into 3-point stance, no matter what.
I think a lot of people don't understand this, right? As far as RPO, like the running game, yeah, one thing. If the RPO is not successful running the football, it makes throwing the football that much harder. Not because, they know that you're not going to run or pull it, because you have to make a quicker decision on not necessarily, hey, do I give it or pull it? It's not only do I have to give it or pull it, but I have to make a split-second decision on where the ball's going. And if nobody's crashing down and they're not biting on the run game, and they don't have to because they're getting penetration, now all of a sudden your passing windows are not as clean, and reads are a lot faster than they need to be, and it makes it a little bit harder to make those decisions. So I would expect LSU not to run as many RPOs against Vandy.
Well, and I also think people are confusing RPO with quarterback choice and all of these different things. Like an RPO
doesn't have to be a quarterback.
Exactly, and I think this has all been
run pass option.
And the run is this the running back,
right,
and the quarterback is the pass option.
So the RPO is not unsuccessful because Nuss can't
run it. Right.
That's not it. The RPO is unsuccessful because we're not getting any push off the offensive line. The running back can't run it, and so now there's no threat for the defense to come up and try to stop the running back. Opens up windows behind him where you can pull it and drop it off. Now it makes everything tighter and harder, and that is what we've seen so far this season.
Because at the crux of it, the RPO would be Nuss running the football in terms of him throwing it. That's what holds linebackers. That's what gives you the option to run the football.
Unless your running back can't run it.
Right. So you have to have one to have the other. They have neither at this point, so it doesn't work.
Right.
And you saw them get away from that and be able to find more of a stick-to-itiveness of, hey, hand in the dirt, we're firing off, I'm handing the football off. Hey, they got what? First play. What did they do?
-3.
But
Under center.
Under center.
Yeah.
So we're
And
making
they went out of
progress.
shotgun after that.
We're making progress. And then the next time they got under center,
Fumble. Yeah. But listen, they're not going to just automatically be under center team. They're just not going to do that. But there's going to be a good mix. You don't have to be under center to still have some of those run game schemes, right? You saw that. I think you're going to see more of that. I think LSU needs to lean on their talent and the guys that they have. And I believe they have more talent and more depth than Vanderbilt. And so to get to the depth, you have to continue to run and continue to try to pound them and tire them out. Now, what I like about what Vanderbilt does offensively, everybody wants to talk about Diego Pavia. And I'm not trying to make this crazy assumption or anything like that. I think Diego Pavia is a really good college football player. I do. I don't think he's the most talented college football player. I don't think he's unbeatable. I think if you put Diego Pavia and you put Lenore Sellers together, Lenore Sellers is a better quarterback. I think that if you force Diego Pavia to beat you with his arm, he can throw the football, no doubt. He's efficient. He makes throws. But if you force him to do that with the secondary that LSU has, I believe that he is going to struggle. I really do. I believe that LSU is going to be able to get to him. They're going to make him make some mistakes. He's shown that he will make some mistakes. If you put some pressure on him, he's going to take some chances. And so I don't believe he is the guy that you should necessarily be scared of. Now, if Vanderbilt runs the ball at a 6-yard clip like they've been running all year, that makes him different. Do you disagree or agree?
No, I agree. But I also, if it becomes a defensive battle, I would put all of that's where the 4% of all the bets going on Vanderbilt, and that's what kind of blows my mind. It feels like LSU has gotten to this point of, after the Clemson win, this might be the best team in the country. Doesn't look good really after that at any point, right? The Southeastern you can throw out the window.
Right.
Lose to Ole Miss the way that you did with looking like you don't have a pulse on offense. Now everybody's off LSU. Nussmeier doesn't look good. The offense is anemic. Defense, though, is just kind of forgotten about of how good it is. That's a 5-point football game in which you are you lost to the number 4 team on the country on the road. That should be a markedly good loss. But since it happened the way that it did and it looked the way that it looked, nobody's talking about LSU right now. They are absolutely in the weeds as a team that is, look, as of right now, you're not Penn State. Your season's not over. You're not firing your coach.
Right.
But it feels like that's what people are looking at as LSU as an absolute pretender. I don't think this would be a statement win at any point, but for us, for people that follow the program, for LSU fans, it absolutely would be a statement win. My question to you is, at what point does it have to be a dominant performance for people to get to the other side that aren't connected to the program?
So we talked about that.
Right, but I'm saying that's what we wanted to see against South Carolina. We saw the potential for it to be 31-10, 35-10.
They were closer to being a dominant team against South Carolina than
it's
not.
the best they've looked almost
and
all
look,
year.
you can't take away the turnovers. That's part of the game. They did it. They committed them. That's something that it's not something that just came out of nowhere, right? It happens. That's something that has been brewing throughout the course of the year. They haven't been making plays. I think if you go out there and the defense continues to do what they've been doing, and the offense puts up 30+,
then you'll get helmet sticker.
Okay. That's what we've been waiting on, right? And I think they can do it. Here's another thing that I want to bring up. LSU's defense, they say, they played on the road. The best team they played on the road, they gave up a bunch of yards. They only gave up 24 points to Ole Miss. Ole Miss ran almost 90 plays. Maybe they did run 90 plays against LSU's defense. The LSU's defense was on the field for 50 plays in the first half. All right. Tempo, warm out. They had a lot of time on the field, so they're exhausted. Vanderbilt's offense is 118th in the country in plays per game at 61.5 plays per game. I think that bodes well for LSU's defense. I really do. I think that LSU's defense is going to be able to be out there. They're not going to be huffing and puffing. They're not going to be worn out. They're going to go out there and they're going to be able to play the game that they want to play. Now, it's up to LSU's offense to sustain drives and move the ball and score points. But the fact that you're not playing a super up-tempo offense in Vanderbilt, I think is a good thing for LSU's defense.
Are you surprised you haven't seen – I don't know if South Carolina tried this, but people try to copy What is Ole Miss the only team in the country?
No,
that's
they're not the only. They're not the only, but they're the team that does it the best.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you're
Kiffin?
not going to go and try an up-tempo offense that you're not used to running. Jay Mitch, join the show.
Speaking of up
tempo, got in there. Up tempo, back to the house, back to the crib. Welcome to the show, Jay. Wait. Speak.
I got it. That's on me. That's on me.
Hand up.
Hand up. That's
on me.
Welcome, dude. Welcome to the show.
Let me jump in on this conversation.
Yeah, please
quick.
do.
It needs to be known, if you run a fast-paced tempo type of offense, that's not something you put together in a week.
Correct.
It's either something you have or something you don't have. You've been doing this all through camp. You are conditioned for it. Your linemen know how to run through it. It's like basically running a 2-minute offense, but you do that as your regular offense, if you will. That's not something you just pull up in a week. You may try to maybe get a drive or two here. Maybe you could steal something like that. Maybe that's something you do. But you either are a tempo type of offense and a team that has that well into their plan and people know about it, or you're not. Like, that's really where it's at.
100%, right? And like you talk about up tempo, like you said, it's something that you have to.
It's it's
practice.
your identity.
100%. And look, you can go out there and you can play with tempo at times.
That's
You
what
know what I
LSU
mean? Like,
does.
oh, LSU go tempo, but you're not going to be able to consistently play up tempo the entire game. That's just unless it's something that's part of your offense, and that's not. And so the fact that Vandy is what?
Mo sighting.
Hey Mo. The fact that Vandy is a little bit more methodical in their drives, I think bodes well for LSU. On the flip side, Vandy's offense, they are not only are they methodical, but they're efficient, right? They average 31.8 rushing attempts per game. That's 111th in the country, but they are 23rd in the country with 210 yards a game, averaging 6.5 yards a carry. So they're not running a ton of plays. They're not running they're not running the ball for 40 times a game, 50 times a game. But when they do run the football, they're efficient. They're getting in the end zone. They're running at a high clip, yards per carry wise, and they're getting a bunch of yards.
That's what happens when your quarterback runs the football too.
Absolutely. But you want to look at who they've played, right? They played South Carolina. That was that. If you want to go common opponent, they dominated South Carolina. LSU did not on the scoreboard. Okay?
Running the football wise, I would say LSU's most impressive performance.
Correct.
Could have used that against Ole Miss, the worst rush defense in the SEC.
Could have used that against Ole Miss. That probably would have helped the passing game. But it's going to be – I want people to just understand this is not the Vanderbilt team that everybody's used to. I know it's hard to fathom that and it's hard to think about that. It's a good Vanderbilt team. You're playing at 11 a.m. But I do think LSU is going to come out there and continue to take another step forward offensively. I think Nuss is going to make some plays. I think LSU found something with Trey'Dez Green on the outside. That's going to be a matchup issue for everybody. I believe Aaron Anderson is going to be back. Kyle Parker filled in nicely. I think you're finding a nice rotation on the outside. I think you're finding a nice little rotation with the backfield. With a 1-2 punch, you have your bell cow in Caden Durham, and then you have your guy who's going to go out there and potentially bust a big play at any given time in Jawan Johnson, which he showed you against South Carolina. He had a 50-something yard run that he popped. He only had 5 carries, but he had 50 or 60 yards rushing. So you have the ability to do it. You showed that you had the ability to do it against a team that was supposed to be really good. So it's going to be a good matchup. I like LSU in the game. I also like that LSU is kind of is really the underdog. Like there's a lot of hype on the Vanderbilt train. Nobody really knows what to predict from LSU. So Vanderbilt's the favorite about Vegas. They're the favorite with all the money being put on it. All the analysts are talking about LSU going to go to Vandy and it's going to be a tough game. You have Vandy players coming out in the media saying that they believe in their defense and they're itching for a shutout. Like you have all of these things that on the surface you're looking at and you're like, oh well, like LSU's LSU, like that shouldn't bother them. But if you take a step back and you're like, okay, well, I would rather them have more motivation and more stuff to talk about, whatever you can use to get these guys up to go on the road at 11 a.m. against a team that in their head, they probably should beat. I'd rather them have all that motivation than go on the road sleepwalking at 11 a.m. I think that's a good thing for LSU. I think that's good ammo for the coaching staff. You agree?
Yeah, I think that could work for them. Playing that 11 a.m. game is a little bit different than what you're used to doing. So having some, I guess you can say, some extra chips in the bag to kind of get you going works for you. I'm interested to see if they can build on the way they use. If you remember, go back a week ago, I talked about this is the time where you want to see them start advancing the game plan, doing different things. I talked about wanting to see, hey, how are you going to use Trey Green? Is it just going to be to catch rebounds, or are you going to start doing different stuff with him? They did do that. Now, they still had the rebound-type plays in there, but they started using them in motion and shooting them out in the flats and out leveraging defenses and started doing different things. Now, is that something that they really wanted to do with him, or did they start doing it because guys like Aaron Anderson wasn't there? You got guys like Kyle Parker who have now kind of jumped onto the scene. And look, let me be honest with you. Everything that I know about football, when guys make splash plays like the touchdown he did, you don't just go back to the bench and become a backup.
Correct.
You find ways to keep inserting yourself into the game. So is that, even with the healthy Aaron Anderson, or an Aaron Anderson that's going to be active, if he's active, is that some way that they're going to have to try to find a way, hey, how do we continue to get Kyle the football, because he's obviously explosive with it in his hands and he's able to do things. So those are the things I'm kind of looking for. And I guess on the defensive side, if you watch Vandy play against Alabama, they were able to bust big and explosive runs, and those are the things that kind of kept them in the game, that kept them on schedule, that kept them doing what they wanted to do. If you can say anything, I guess, in terms of what LSU has done this year, they have given up a couple big runs. You don't have to look any further than that, the South Carolina game. Can they keep Vandy away from being able to do that? Because if they can, and you're playing on the road at a team like this, I think it bodes well for you going forward throughout the rest of the game. If you're able to get them off of what they kind of look as what is like their bread and butter, right? If they're able to get the run game going like that, it opens up a ton of stuff for them offensively. So can you kind of slow that down to make them play in the way you want them to play?
Correct. And Vandy, everybody wants to talk about Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia has been great. But Diego Pavia does not go if the offense isn't running for 6.5 yards per carry. He's not as effective if Vandy's not running the football as well as they have been, right? So if LSU can limit that and stop that and contain that and force Diego Pavia to be Superman, I believe he's going to be mistakes. Alabama, he had 2 mistakes against Alabama that cost him the game, basically. Interception and a fumble inside the red zone, right? So there's opportunity I can promise you this. If Jack Pyburn and the defensive line for LSU gets their hands on Diego Pavia as much as they got their hands on Lenore Sellers, Diego Pavia ain't breaking all those tackles. They're just not the same type of – they're not as strong. They're not the same type of player, right? And then to your point about Kyle Parker, Jared, not only did he have a splash play in the passing game, but the one thing that has been consistent, and the one thing, and you can attest to this, that's going to put you above some of these other wide receivers that maybe you may be even with as far as skill set, he is not scared. And he's probably their best blocking wide receiver. And I know that sounds boring.
No. Like, let's be honest. So look, shout to you, because you've been yelling his name since he's pretty much gotten on campus, and all we've done is kind of looked at you and be like, chill. We'll get there when we get there. We finally got there, right? That's what we got. Look, he hasn't stayed around this long and stayed kind of in the fold and in the flex without being able to do those things. So when you have a guy that goes down, and this is the guy that they immediately insert who can do these things, let you know what kind of player he is in terms of staying into everything where he needs to be mentally, knowing what he needs to do. And obviously he's a very reliable player. So he showed that, right? And I think that kind of came to the forefront really quickly. And then you add that with the splash plays, now we got to start finding ways to get him on the field, because he is becoming a problem.
No doubt. And we talk about how LSU's run game was better, which it was. We talked about how that's directly reflective of the offensive line being a little bit better. It was. But if you go look at some of these big plays, you don't get these big running plays and these big gash plays without wide receivers doing their part on the outside. If you go look at a couple of Caden Durham's big plays, you go see Barry and Brown going across the field and blocking the safety. You see Kyle Parker doing what he needs to do on the outside. That's how you get these big chunk plays in the running game. And so I think that was obviously a point of emphasis last week. You saw that happen in the game. I believe you're going to see that happen in the game again. Offensively, you just got to be able to protect Nuss enough for him to be able to exploit the secondary, right? I want to see the running game, but whenever you do want to throw the football, I think you have an advantage with their secondary and LSU's wide receivers. You just have to be able to get it to them. And that's about protecting him enough, whether you have to chip, whatever you have to do, because as Lloyd mentioned, what Vanderbilt's good at is stopping the run and getting after the quarterback. So, both of those things cause negative plays, and LSU, their offense has scuffled whenever they've been off schedule.
Or limited in one part of the football
Or limited,
game.
right? And on the flip side, Vanderbilt is very good at third downs because they have a lot of third and shorts, right? A lot of third and favorables to the offense. When you do that, you are a lot more successful converting. And so I think it's vice versa. If LSU can protect Nuss or allow them not to have these negative plays, they're going to be successful. And if LSU's defense can go out there and get Vanderbilt off schedule and force Pavia and these 3rd and 8s and 3rd and longs, it's going to put LSU's defense in a position where they can go and hunt and eat and force them into some mistakes, which we've seen happen throughout the course of this year.
I definitely agree with that, man. So I think it's going to be an exciting one. I'm very, very, very curious to see how they're going to come out, how they're going to play, because I think there's a lot of energy you're going to have to match. I think both of these teams kind of know what situation they're in right now. Like you're getting to the meat part of that schedule. You get to the area where it's going to matter every little thing you do. So the intensity is a little heightened. The attention to detail is a little heightened. So it's now coming into a spot which is turned into a somewhat of a hostile environment where people really believe, and there's a lot of hype train running around what they do, especially with the quarterback. You're getting to a situation where you're going to have to come in, you're going to have to match some energy, and you're going to have to overcome some things probably early in the game that's going to set you up to be at least in it, right? You would love to be in front, and I think if LSU comes out and plays a very good ball game, they could be the team playing from out in front. But where you want to be is at least in striking range, because I do think talent-wise, this roster's better. Say what you want, the roster's better. Now when you're going to have to go out there and execute and do it for 4 straight quarters, this is what we get a chance to see Saturday morning.
Lloyd posed a question to me at the beginning of the show. I don't think you're on there yet, so I don't know if you heard it. What do we have to see from LSU today, this weekend to make you believe that, okay, it's different? Like, okay, we have a chance, right? Obviously, the offense, the defense is what it is. Like, we know how good they are. It's going to be predicated. That question is predicated on the offense. What do you have to see from the offense to say, all right,
put the country on notice?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe they've kind of started to figure it out.
If you go one game back and then you go no further than the first quarter of the ball game, if they get in the end zone on those 2 red zone trips, you're looking at a 34-10 finish.
Right.
So I think it's pretty clear, right? What we talked about, or at least what I talked about, is I wanted to see an upgrade in what they were doing. I wanted to see a healthy Nuss. I wanted to see them kind of start moving the ball and putting things together. Usually, I don't care if you got a bye week. Usually, if you're not doing those things early on, they don't just come in one game. They start. It's a slow build. It's a slow grind, right? So 2 weeks off, you got a bye week. You play a game. Now you got another week. Can we start finishing in those small areas in that tight window when you get into the red zone? Can you do those things? I think if they can start doing those things, then that's how you go on the road and you beat a quality SEC opponent.
Correct. Hey, I'm going to give you this. I love the fact that you got your pencil in your hand. It makes you look
Yeah,
like,
it's very
I like
much,
that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Very astute, baby.
I like that. He's like taking notes. You made me put a
If
pen
I
in
had
my
big
hand.
ears,
Like,
I
let
can
me
sit
write.
it behind my ear, but the way my ears set it don't work that way.
Yeah, see the way my ears. Yeah. The way God gave me, it doesn't work. Look to Lloyd's point. I think I'm on this team with him. Nuss looked better, right? Healthier. I want to see it for 2 games in a row. That's been Lloyd's thing all year. Look, I want to see it twice. And I do. I have to see it again. I need to see him make the throws again. I need to see him have the zip on again. I think we're going to. But if I see that from him, I do believe the offense. Look, as an offense, just as a group, and you see your quarterback make the throws that you know he can make, that gives you confidence.
Yeah.
That gives you confidence to know that we can do whatever we need to do. All right, hey, we need to go out there and we need to throw the ball to win the football game. Our quarterback is healthy. He's making the throws. He has a zip on the ball. He's the guy that we believe that he should have been all season. That gives the offense a lot more confidence. And so
I'd imagine through practice, think about the times you've been hurt, Mikey. When you finally start to feel better, there's a different bounce. There's a different step about you in practice, even just in practice. Like you go about it, you got a different energy. You're moving from period to period differently. You're talking more. You're dancing more. You're having more of a good time. So I think if he's doing those things, the boys don't even really need to see him throw the rock. They understand who they got and where he's at and where his health is just by how he's moving throughout his day. So I think if he's feeling better, those are the things that you could probably look for that I would imagine he's doing from Monday to Friday, and they're probably going to carry over into Saturday as well.
Yeah, correct. Ask Mikey and Mitch if you have questions. Throw them in the chat. I don't know if you have any.
We have a couple, I wanted to, just before we get into that, I don't know if either one of y'all have seen some of these comments from Nussmeier, as he has successfully dodged the media since Ole Miss. I don't know how often the quarterbacks talk to the media, but it's not that with Nussmeier, not so regular on the schedule. Can hop up at any time, and belly can hurt. And some of these quotes, I want y'all to get a read from it because it was actually quite interesting. He actually divulged some information.
Didn't love that he did the interview sitting down.
Which one? The one in the chair, or the one in the at the podium?
Well, the podium wasn't sitting down.
He's sitting down on both.
I'm talking about the one where he's sitting in
that's where they do all the player interviews. Everybody does that.
They sit down?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But it's like in the team room.
Okay, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that back.
Yeah, I get what you're saying though.
I don't love
stands up.
I don't love sit down interviews.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, I love sit down interviews here.
No, I know. Go ahead.
But everything. Okay, so I'll start off with this quote by Nuss that he gave to the print media, as it were. Quote: "Everything I was going through the first couple of weeks, it was obviously very frustrating." Nussmeier said during player interviews on Tuesday night after practice. Quote again. And I think I let it get to me a little bit. It was a feeling of helplessness at times. So that's how Nuss was describing his injury. And he goes on to say that when there was more quotes, and this was from Jacques Doucet, I believe, where he goes on to say, let me find it here, another little bit of a telltale. I think it, quote, Garrett Nussmeier, I think it's pretty obvious what has gone on, Nussmeier said, alluding to his health. Continuing quote. I don't want to get into it directly. I'll say with football, you're never truly healthy. It's a sport you have to play when you're banged up. Obviously, it's been frustrating, but it's football. Got to play through those bangs and bruises. I have no excuses. I'm just trying to look forward to it and get better. And then he goes on to say another thing. This is what I thought was interesting also. There was a point in time where Brian Kelly said, the question was raised, should you rest him against Southeastern? No, he has to play through it. He's on the other side of it. He needs to get reps. Garrett Nussmeier says, quote, it helped a lot for me to be able to get a quick rest during the bye week. So to me, that tells me they're still not on the same page as to how to talk about this injury or how to even address it, because I don't understand what's going on still. And obviously Nuss doesn't want to talk about it, but he continues to talk about it.
You're reaching on this.
I'm not.
I'm gonna let you go first, Jared, because I know how I want to respond to this. Like, look, you go first, Jared. You go first.
First off, what I'm saying right now, if you ask any player, were they able to get healthier during the bye week, and if they enjoyed the bye week and what it did for their body, they're all going to say that. What I didn't love about the quotes you just gave me is, Nuss, you can't tell me out of one side of your mouth that it's all you're expected to play, so you go out there and play, but then keep alluding to what injuries you may have or may not have had. And if you're out there, just say, hey, I'm out here. I'm good. I was good. I didn't play my best. I've been working to get better. That's all I'm trying to do. Like, that's pretty much where he should have stayed, instead of trying to allude to there was some kind of injury or not. Well, if there is, then say it. And if there's not, then to go out there and play.
Keep it out your mouth.
Right. There is, but so like it doesn't really matter. So I didn't love that part of it, but no, I don't think they're on different pages in terms of how the coach is speaking about it and how the quarterback is speaking about it. I think any player, when asked in the framework of what they thought about how the bye week did for their body, they're all going to tell you the same type of thing. So like I don't really see it that way. That's just me.
Correct. And look, for him to come out and say, I had a tough go at it, basically, like it's been tough, I have no problem with that because it has been tough. That's just a normal part of it. Like, yes, I'll maybe not have been 100% healthy. I have not played good. I haven't played well. The team hasn't played well. It falls directly on me as the leader of the offense, and that's tough. Like, that makes it hard. You hear the rumblings. You hear, like, he's been there for a while, but this is his second year as a starter. It's the first time really, like, struggling, and that takes its toll, right? Any athlete will say, damn. Like, there's been times where I, like, shit, like, I want to go crawl in a hole because this is hard. Right?
You were praying on deck for people to get out.
Like, this is, it's just part of it, right? And so I have no problem with him saying that. When he says it was nice to get a quick rest, I agree with Jared. Listen, anybody in the middle of a college football season,
in the middle of any season,
I believe the quick rest, and he's not going to say like he's banged up, but I do believe the quick rest was more mental for him than he's going to let on. I think, look, there's times you go look at guys that are coming off an injury. The best example I can give to a guy that I played with is JD Martinez. JD Martinez would come off, like he'd be hurt, he'd be struggling, kind of hurt. He'd go on the DL. He'd come off, or IL. It was a DL when he was doing it, but IL. And he would come back and didn't look like he was right. Okay? Healthy because he's back, but he's not really playing right. Hey, we're going to give you a couple days. Not because we think you're hurt, because we just think you need a little reset. Every time he come back from that, it was a homer. It was outrageous. And so I tell you that because when you're coming off of injury and you're playing through injury and you don't feel like you're 100% and you're not playing at the top of your game, sometimes a little break is better, is good for you mentally, and it makes you feel better physically, right? Like, maybe he didn't change. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he got a little bit more healthy because he had a break, but maybe it wasn't that significant of a physical break. It was more of a mental break, and it helped him get over the hump
as well.
I'll say this too, Lloyd. I think you're forgetting, if you want to bring on how he's speaking about it and how Brian Kelly's speaking about it, I'm sure you've seen how Will Campbell spoke about it. He was just asked about the Nussmeier situation, and he straight up said, it's Nussmeier. He'll go out there if he could walk. That guy bleeds at purple and gold, like he'll do everything. So he basically is telling you, like, no, dude, if he can walk, he's probably going to play. If they allow him to play, he's probably going to play. And I would imagine that's probably where the guy who the team chose to pick to wear number 18, that's probably where his mindset was. So I don't think it was the coaches making him and he don't really feel like he should. I think that guy wanted to be on the field. And I think he did everything he could to be on the field, even though maybe he was at his own detriment a little bit.
Right. And look, he had a good game as far as health goes. Like, made some throws. I will say good game. He had a good game in the sense of
this season
making the throws. Like, having the capability of making every throw, right? He made 2 turnovers. He had a couple things that he wishes he probably could have back. But the fact that he proved to himself that he's healthy, I think gives him a lot of confidence moving forward.
And like I said,
he went back out there and started playing like Mr. Gunslinger again.
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
I think that's what we were looking for, right? Like, that's who you've known him to be. You just wanted to see some of the decision-making in the gunslinger mentality kind of come in hard and just kind of hone that in a little bit. So he went back out there and started playing like the gunslinger we've been used to seeing, or we got used to seeing, the same one that threw for 4,000 plus last year. He went back to doing stuff like that. And that gives me a lot of upside and encouragement of what is going to be there for the weeks to come, as long as he can stay somewhat healthy, or at least away from the injury that he just had.
Right, and that's where, like you said, and we've harped on this a little bit, like I want to see it twice, but I also love, for one of the few times that Brian Kelly actually said, kind of promoted that version of him.
Yeah.
Instead of like, 0 can be the best play that you make. Now he's like, look, we'll live with some of these turnovers that Nussmeier's going to make, because that's when he plays his best ball. Essentially is what he was saying. Like, if he plays like that, I'd rather that version of him than the the neutered version of Nuss, where it's very much like, don't trust yourself, don't trust your eyes. Like, I'm scared to make a mistake. Go out there and make a couple. Your defense is good enough. They've kind of figured out their identity.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up because that's where I was going to go with this too. And look, we can sit here pretty much all spring, all fall, all camp and sit here and say, I think and I know we have a good defense. You don't know until you toe it up for a real ball game, right? And you start towing it up for real ball games in a month in, 5 weeks in, 6 weeks in, you start to get an understanding that, oh, this is real. Okay, if it is, hey, I can make some mistakes on this side because I know them boys got me, right? And I think that that's where they're starting to come to and starting to get to as an offense, which could be dangerous in terms of what their offense could be and the upside that's possible there.
Yeah, correct. All right, ask Mikey and Mitch.
Ask Mikey and Mitch. Let's get this thing fired up. As we
Also, Jared, as they ask these questions, Lloyd and I off air before the show.
New segment alert.
Last little segment for today. It's the midseason awards for Mik'd Up. Midseason awards.
The Mikeys.
So we're gonna go.
The Mitches.
Keep thinking of the Mikey and Mitches. MVP so far, most impressive, most disappointing, most improved, and unsung hero. Okay, I sent you. Oh, yeah, actually, I did not send you the doc. It didn't go through.
You did not send that to me.
The doc did not go through. It gave me an error message.
But now you have it. But so chew on that while you answer these. And this is not the first question, but it was one that I found to be most prevalent while we were talking. And it is from our boy, Fonzie.
Love it.
Ask him. Let me put myself on here. Ask him. Do you think... Where'd it go? Ask him. Does Vandy having 2 weeks to prepare for our D concern you at all?
Oh, I mean, no.
Why did you emphasize D?
That's when he capitalized it.
No, it doesn't concern me, man. That's part of the game. It is what it is. I think if you go out there and you execute, you should be fine. Now, look, it's going to give them an opportunity to maybe put in a couple wrinkle plays that they may throw in there at certain spots of the game. But other than that, it's going to come down to execution. It's going to come down to winning the line of scrimmage. And I think if you're able to do that and you put them in those second and long and third and longs, I think you're in a better spot than what you would be on the other side of. So I'm not worried about that. Like, you're going to run into that every year where somebody's going to get a little bit more time to. It's part of the game. So you can't really worry about it, and I'm not worried about it.
Correct. I think the bye week, having 2 weeks to prepare, I think it helps them get, if they had some banged up stuff, get healthy. But to Jared's point, at the end of the day, it's about who's going to be more physical up front. That's really going to be it. You go look at all those years, LSU always had 2 weeks to prepare. I know Alabama did too. But they had 2 weeks to prepare for Alabama. And every single time that game was, every time Alabama won or the few times LSU won, it was the team that was most physical up front that won. And that's not going to change over 2 weeks. You're not going to game plan for that. It's like, hey, this is what we need to do. A couple wrinkles here and there, fine. That's not going to win you the game. That may keep you in the game. What's going to win you the game is who's going to be more physical up front.
I feel like Lloyd's concerned about that, though.
Well, then that's what I was going to say. The only reason I really thought it was, I think it's a good question because of how much emphasis LSU put on having a bye week, where it was,
I think that was more about health.
Right, and I agree, but yeah, not so much preparation, but you could see that the offense looked better, did it not?
Correct.
And then the defense also looked better, and I do think that it's something that people don't give consideration unless it's your team.
No, right, but here's the other point to that is like the bye week's going to help them get healthier, right? Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's offense and defense has both been very good up to this point, right? So it's not like, oh, we need to go and figure out what's wrong.
Well, that was an LSU thing,
right?
So they can only get better,
right?
We were talking about LSU. It's like you need to figure out what the fuck you're going to do.
Right. So the bye week was
Vanderbilt knows what they're going to do. They're just going to get better at it, and they can actually exploit an LSU on either side of the football.
Right. Which is why if you're the most physical team up front's going to win. That's why I think that most physical team up front's going to win.
You're big on this Pyburn game.
I didn't say anything about Pyburn. I did not.
We get his hands on.
But if he plays the exact same way as he played last weekend, I promise you he's going to have more than half a sack.
He let some frustration out on that last sack.
Yeah, but it wasn't even a full sack. It was a half a sack. But my point is he was in the backfield. Lenore Sellers ran for 900 yards in the backfield. right? Like the reason why we only had 5 sacks and not 10 sacks is because
he's an animal.
Because he's an absolute monster, right? And so Pavia is shifty, and he's gonna be out. He's gonna go jitterbug his way through it, but
he ain't getting away like
he's
that.
He's not gonna break as many tackles as
put the team on his back.
Exactly, as Lenore Sellers did.
That was insane. I don't think I've ever seen a single game performance like that, and it not result in anything.
Right.
Like, he was unbelievable. 900 yards of offense that don't count.
And it wasn't even a good game by him. Like, the stats didn't show that it was a good game.
I saw it with my eyes, and he's played unbelievable.
Right.
And it was like LSU. It feels like you got away with one a little bit because of how good. Like, there was.
It reminded me of like a high school football game when you have a really good quarterback on a team that's not as good as the other team.
Lollipop snap.
And he is literally running around for his life, but he's able to like make it look decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Offense is fine. Like, look at my new quarterback, Chad Powers.
You legit got a chance to see a superior athlete just basically find his way out of tough situations. And like you said, look, Diego Pavia is a very good athlete. He's a former wrestler. He's a strong kid. He's got a good arm, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't move, and his escapability is not that of Lenore Sellers. And I think everybody knows that part of it. So if that's the case, if you can bring that same kind of performance, it should be a big day for that defensive front.
Yep.
Okay, you get 8 sacks. Ask him from Fonz. Who was the best pregame speech guy you've ever played with?
Talking about football or just in general?
Just in general.
Jared, I'll give you that because football.
I'm gonna go ahead and give this one to my boy. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Tommy Moffitt was a good pregame speech guy. Tommy Moffitt, if you needed the juice, you can go find the juice from Tommy Moffitt. I promise you that. Like, I was big on that. It wasn't always like a speech, but he just knew how to motivate and get people going. And to be honest with you, man, like, the speech part of it is usually not designated to just be moved around. You usually find that guy, and it usually stays. A lot of the times, it's coming from the head coach. Tommy Moffitt was the juice guy for us, and he brought that.
Yeah, which makes me sad about the A&M game, but
Look, hey, he's not coaching X's and O's, but they're not. I promise you. They're not doing it.
I feel like Blake Baker's got a little of that in him. You know what I mean? Where he can relate. For me, the guy who always would fire me up in his speeches was Javi Sanchez.
Oh, I love that.
Javi was very, very prepared, and he took pride in, like, when we'd huddle up in the outfield before the game, giving a good speech. The speech he gave before the World Series, the Wolf Pack was.
He did the hangover speech.
No.
Okay, I was about to say that'd be an odd timing for that.
No. But it was.
Javi definitely prepared for it, 100%.
And he
I don't know how long it took him, but he definitely prepared, and he came with the heat every time.
Yeah, he delivered. He delivered it, no doubt. All right.
Ask him. How would you feel if BK and the recruiting team came out and said, I haven't read this one yet, so this is fresh for me too. I don't know what's about to happen. It's from Fonz. Ask him. How would you feel if BK and the recruiting team came out and said, hey, yes, stars are cool, but we're looking for just nasty, gritty offensive linemen going forward that may not be 5 stars, which I get the sentiment.
I think he's kind of referencing
the offensive line
Kurt
currently.
Signetti too, what he just said.
Yeah, okay.
Earlier. You evaluate fit and personality and all that kind of stuff. I would.
LSU fans can't have it both ways.
I would respect them to say, "Hey, we're going to look for the best talent, but also with the grit." You know what I mean? Like, it's just at the end of the day, you can have as much grit as you want, but if you have
a whole lot of Will Campbells,
if you have a whole offensive line of undersized guys that are very gritty, you're still going to get beat.
You could go to Alexandria, 2.5 hours away, and find a bunch of white kids that would love to play for LSU, and they'd play their ass off.
They're going to play hard.
Get dominated.
They're going to play hard. And you're not going to be able to teach the effort. But,
you can't teach effort, but you can't teach size either.
Correct.
Can you give me the question again? Just one more time. Give me that again.
Ask him. How would you feel if BK and the recruiting staff came out and said, stars are cool, but we're looking for just nasty, gritty O-line going forward that may not be 5 stars?
I mean, yeah, that'd be cool if they said that too. I would imagine their house would be up for sale pretty soon too.
He's 5'10", 185, but God damn it, he'll die out here.
Realtor would be on speed dial at that point. You better find some units too.
Rudy.
You gotta find some dudes. You gotta find some dudes with the grit and the want and all of that stuff. Not outside of it. You can't just come with one part of it. You gotta have both of it.
There's a reason there wasn't
BK and James Franklin will be enjoying Cancun together.
Yeah, there's a reason there's only one Rudy.
Correct. And there's a reason why Rudy played for sixth place.
Yeah,
you know,
not 5 of them.
Look, I will say this: it's not always about the stars. It's not, right? Just because you're a 5-star doesn't mean you're going to be the best at your position in college. But you're a 5-star because you have measurables and talent that is better than a lot of people. And it's a matter of hitting on those guys. And some of LSU's best offensive linemen historically have not been 5-stars, right? They've been guys who have that and had to be developed. And so I think you can find it both ways, but you can't just say, just grit and determination is going to be our determining factor.
I mean, I can study as much as I want. At the end of the day, I can't fucking do math. I can't do it.
You're not a math guy.
Not a math guy.
That's it.
I looked at it a lot. Just not my strong suit.
You cheated. Show me your work, though.
Oh, damn. Look at the back of my calculator.
Can't do it. Can't show you the work.
Got the answer. Ask M&M. This is something you alluded to a little bit earlier. I know the team doesn't listen to the outside noise, but do you think someone is telling the team that Vandy is favored for the first time since 1978 facing a top 10 team? And if the team knows this, do you think it will fire them the fuck up?
I'm sure they know.
Hey, in 2025, do we really believe that the team doesn't hear and listen to outside noise?
No.
You see my face? I don't. Hey, listen, those kids hear a lot of this stuff. They may not hear it all, but they do hear a lot. They do hear the overall theme of kind of what things are, if that makes any sense. So I think they know. I think they're using every bit of that to their advantage. Oh, wait, you still doubting us? Mm-hmm. You still counting us out? You don't think we can go on the road and win at Vanderbilt? Bet. I'll show you. I got something for you. Yeah, I definitely think they're using it. I think they're going to come out with a little fire lit under them, especially for that 11 a.m. game, because you're going to need it, baby.
No doubt. And what do we say all the time? Defense usually brings the juice and the momentum for the teams. Usually, right? Like if the defense is flying around, they're hitting guys and they're making tackles, like that usually brings the juice and raises it up. You're going to have to see that from the defense. And LSU having a defense that they have and the talent that they have and as good of a defense they have, I think that bodes well for them to bring that juice.
And you talked about it a little bit earlier. Like I think Blake Baker expects that. Like that's kind of
their
calling.
He ain't going to let that not
Right, he doesn't let that
juice.
shit slide.
Right, and Whit Weeks ain't going to let that shit slide.
No, Coffee coming up
and it feels like and it also feels like Harold Perkins is kind of taking that next jump where he's played the best he's played at LSU, all around linebacker wise.
Yes.
And so I believe that you have the guys on the defensive side of the football that are going to not allow them to just come out there and sleepwalk. They're going to set the tone for the game.
And you saw this in.
Do you think LSU wins a coin toss for the first time in 14 games?
They've won the coin toss.
Nope, they've lost. No. Was it LSU? Yeah, I saw a stat where LSU's lost the last 13 coin tosses.
No, I believe they won it against Clemson and Ole Miss.
Maybe I'm thinking of. I'm telling you.
I wouldn't be surprised because after every game, they don't announce
on October 12th. Todd Politz.
Well, he would know. I'm not going against the ball.
LSU football lost its 10th straight coin flip Saturday.
That's insane.
The last time LSU lost more than 10 straight, they lost 12 from 1981 and 1982. There was no decision. The winning team received the kickoff. That's a one.
No decision. It's heads or tails.
There was no decision, as was said. There's a 1 in 1,024 chance of losing 10 straight, but there's always a half chance of winning the next one. That's what he said. So they've lost the last 10.
Do you think they go out and say the same thing every time?
I don't know. But
right? Would you not stick to your guns at this point and be like, it's tails no matter what?
I thought that was
ain't no such thing as curses.
At some point, it's got to turn your way.
It couldn't happen in a worse year.
I mean, it happened this year and last year.
Your offense is absolutely anemic.
Yeah.
And it's like, please let us be able to defer. Can't do it. Nope. Offense, ready.
Yep. Yep.
3 plays, a minute and 5 seconds, and we're kicking it.
Crazy.
That's insane.
Yep.
Thank you, Todd. From Drew, ask him Do y'all think this LSU offense, players and staff, are trying to overcomplicate the game and putting too much pressure on themselves?
No. I think right now they're simplifying the game.
I think we've gotten to that part.
I don't think the whole thing was overcomplicating, and I think they're trying to coach the game of football with the team that they have, and they had to pivot and regroup. That's what I think. I don't think it was overcomplicated, though.
I honestly told y'all exactly what I thought they were doing early on in the year. You know, you had Xavier Thomas, you had Barry Brown, you had Aaron Anderson, you got a 6'4" receiver, a 6'7" tight end / flex receiver. You had another tight end that you added in as well. I do think, crazy if you want to believe it or not, I do think a lot of that first month of the season was put together trying to figure out, what do we actually have when it's game time? Mm-hmm. Who can we actually use? What packages? What plays? What personnel groupings? What can we actually do to move forward with? And I thought, especially after you have the bye week, that's when you start moving more into using the ones that you feel are going to be the most productive for you going forward. So I do think they spent a lot of that time trying to figure out how to do that, which in turn doesn't give you a ton of continuity because there's so many players. But that's what I always wondered is, how was that going to come together? Because you had so many weapons, and it's not just weapons and there was a pecking order. It was weapons that you expected, say, those guys, like you didn't bring Barry and Brown in to say, hey, come sit on the bench. You didn't bring Nick Anderson in to say, hey, come sit on the bench. You didn't think that Trey Green was going to get less work in the next year. You didn't bring Bauer Sharp in to say, hey, you're going to get less work as well. So you brought these boys in, all which I'm sure you sold the expectation of, you're going to have a significant role in this offense. So when you don't do a ton of scrimmaging, when you start the season and you know you got 4 weeks into it, especially if we can get through, that week 3 situation with no losses, at that point, like, you're for sure looking at it like, hey, how can we use everyone? I think they started the year saying we need to beat Clemson, and we need to do it however that happens. Now, after we win that, we have an opportunity here to figure out, because I figured they probably thought we have one to play with. We don't really want that one, obviously. I'm not saying that at all. But we have one to play with in terms of taking a loss. And we have to be able to figure out who is the go-to guys as we go forward. I do think they spent a lot of that time trying to figure that out, and I think we're going to start to see in fruition how it comes about, what they came out of that first month and a half of the season with.
Yep.
I think a lot of it came from also, as much as we blamed stuff on this, the disjointedness of the offense because not having a 100% Nussmeier, and you had a plan in place, and then you figured out you couldn't really do some of those things, so you became very limited offensively.
You had to adjust to what you had.
Yeah, and I do think that to this question, there has been I don't want to call it overcomplicated, but there was a lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of pre-snap everything, and it was a little bit complicated in which they had to figure it out, and it felt like that it became too much, and they simplified it.
It felt like they were trying to mask some of the deficiencies that Nuss had at the time, and then it was just like, okay, this is not working, and then now I think they're going back to simplifying it because Nuss is healthy, so it's a little bit easier for them to do things that they needed to do.
That leads me to the next. Ask him Sabrion.
You got a couple more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think a more up-tempo offense would help LSU instead of snapping that ball every time with 5 seconds left, or where Nuss has to call timeouts because everything is slow?
Jared, you already talked about this?
I do think at points in times an up-tempo type of offense does help, does work, keeps tempo going, it keeps you kind of in front. It doesn't allow them to substitute as much. So, like, there's things you can do, but it doesn't necessarily have to be played that way the entirety and throughout it. And I also know that if you haven't practiced that way, if you yourself is not conditioned that way, which, shocker for people who may not know, just because you practice and you've done all these things and you've been out there does not mean that your team is conditioned to run that kind of offense. You actually have to be practicing running that kind of offense. So I do think, like, that kind of stuff, it can help at times. You don't necessarily need it throughout. the teams that do it throughout, there's probably a couple times where you're like, hey, if we slow this thing down, we could possibly be more efficient. Yeah. So there's a give and take with both sides. You find which one works best for the personnel that you have, the personnel that you brought in, and I think you work with that. And I think that's what they're doing.
Agreed. I think up tempo. If it's not your offensive staple, I think it's great to change the tempo of the game. I think it's great to mix in and out depending on the flow of the game. Hey, if we're huddling or if we're taking our time and we're doing things and we're having success, you continue to do that. Hey, maybe you do that for a few plays and all of a sudden you pop one and now you go up tempo and you catch them off guard. I think that's where it plays the most effectively for an offense that isn't predicated on tempo. Lloyd?
What was the question?
You got the next Ask Mikey Mitch?
That was it.
All right, that's it. That's all we got for Ask Mikey Mitch. We appreciate y'all. Appreciate all the questions, especially for the last minute. I don't think we promoted it on social, but we appreciate y'all. With that.
Add Cajun curveball.
Okay.
There's a couple more in here. I get fussed at if I don't read them all. Ask Eminem, is an average of 4 yards a run with no big plays okay with you?
Yeah, I'm okay with that right now. As long as you're getting, as long as you're converting first downs.
Usually, if you're averaging 4 yards a run, there's a big one or two that's busted in there somewhere. So I don't really. That's not truly a realistic world in terms of a whole year or even a half a year. Usually, somebody that's averaging 4.5, they've got some 20-yard pops in there, and they're going to kind of keep rolling it that way.
100%.
There's one more. Hold on. Sorry, I'm looking at the internet. Ask him who the fuck is clicking their pen into the microphone
that
the entire
me.
Show.
I'm sorry. Is that really in there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's my bad. I'm ADD.
Yes. Ask him who would you trust, the lottery odds or BK being honest more? I told you I'd read them all. That was the last one.
BK being honest more. Lottery odds are crazy.
You're starting to be more honest.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
You're now Mikey the Mike Molester.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because you touch the microphone a lot.
That's aggressive.
Damn. That's aggressive.
Mikey the Mush the Mike Molester.
I got a lot of nicknames.
Yeah, you are. All from the same guy.
Don't love that.
That's aggressive.
All right. Well, the mid-season awards here from Mik'd Up team. All right, we're gonna end up. We're gonna last one's gonna be the MVP. So, let's start with most improved midway through the season.
There you go. He's frustrated. Not in the new chairs.
I'll close it. I clicked it closed.
Look at our new chairs.
You're asking me first? You want me to go first?
Anyone. You want to go first, Lloyd?
You go first.
I'll go first. My most improved, there's a couple.
Pick one.
I think my most improved player on the team is Harold Perkins. I think that Harold's always, the talent has never been a question. I think that they're trying to figure out the right place for him. We felt like Star was the right position. It feels like he's become a more complete linebacker. You saw him play more inside against South Carolina because the game plan dictated. You saw him play more in coverage against Ole Miss. I think that he has become a complete linebacker, and I think he's going to continue to get better. But I think as far as what we saw him as a freshman, just being a pass rusher, to what he is now, I think he's the most improved.
I'm going to go with, so before I even say the name, I'm going to explain a little bit the situation that you had in this spot. You went after guys at this position in the secondary because you knew you needed more production. Now, not only did you need more production, but you needed more depth, right? So those two things alone would usually put the guys that are already in the building on the outside looking in terms of who's going to get the playing time and who's going to not. So for me, when I look at most improved, I look at an undersized P.J. Woodland and say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not only has he stayed in the lineup as a starter, he has produced at a very high level this year. And I think that alone shows you most improved because he's done it on the other side of a guy that's been absolute shutdown in Delane, right? So you know you're not really going to be able to pick on him. They've gone his way a ton, and he's answered the bell for the most part of the year. So I'm going to go with P.J. Woodland.
Love that. That was the other guy. I said I have a couple. That was my second one, so I'm glad you took that one. Lloyd's mad at you because
my
he wanted
pick.
it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were going to go there.
He has the pencil. He's ready.
That's right.
This is what happens when y'all try to put me on the spot. I come up with some nasty stuff.
Yeah, that was a good pick. Fuck. I will go with most improved. Maybe a name people know. Oh, between two, and this is offensively. I will go with Xavier Thomas. Last week was standing. Obviously, he has the drop, but from what he's done, from being able to run routes, becoming as he came in here, was a guy that you to solidify your punt return, kick return game. That's what everybody was excited about Xavier Thomas being able to do. You've seen his role kind of expand from being able to be a gadget guy out the backfield, being able to get carries, to now being, I think he leads the team in touchdowns in terms of receiving. So I will give it to Xavier Thomas because he's expanded his role and become an absolute playmaker for you on the offensive side of the ball in a very crowded wide receiver room where he could have very much fallen to the back. But instead he continues to emerge. So I will give my most improved to Xavier Thomas.
Love that. Okay, so most improved. Let's go to the most impressive. Midway
Most impressive?
Most impressive.
I'll snag this one right quick.
I know exactly who you're going to get. I think that's probably can be a consensus.
There might be two consensus on most improved and most disappointing. Most impressive, Monsoor Delane.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Count it.
Yeah.
what do you say?
Count it.
Yeah, I mean, he's been. We all had an idea. Damn, home run, 2-run home run, Julio Rodriguez. Fuck. We all had an idea that this guy could be good. We just didn't know how good. He has been better than advertised. So I mean, yeah, most impressive. He's put himself, I think, in the top of the first round.
I mean, he's on the short list for the Thorpe.
Yeah. I mean, I assume you agree, right, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, he's solidified whatever side of the field that he's on, right? And he's allowed them to open up and do some different things with the defense, and he's been great. Yeah. I mean, he's been everything you could have asked for and more, honestly. You thought you were getting a solid every down type of corner. You got a lockdown corner is what you got.
Yep.
All right. Most disappointing.
You go on.
I mean, I think this is another consensus. At this point in the season, it's not over.
Right. You on 3? 1, 2, 3.
Nuss. Jared?
I'm going to go Caden Durham. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
I expected a big jump out of the backfield, and it hasn't jumped like that yet. Now, a little bit is due because of the injury that you obviously saw him, so there's a little bit of a setback in there as well. But let's not forget that Caden Durham came into his LSU career with a ton of hype. Let's not forget that he splashed on the scene when he got an opportunity last year against South Carolina. I expected to see another level up, and so far, he's taken the ball, he's taken carries, he's done decent, but I expected to see a jump. I expected to see some real burst. I expected to see some splash plays. Name one for me this year.
No, you're right.
So that's where my most disappointing would be then.
Okay.
I mean, when I saw him in camp, I thought he was going to run for over 1,200 yards.
Right.
And I really did. He looked so and Jared, I agree with you because what they've asked him to do probably isn't his role, but it feels like he kind of immersed himself into being a 3-down back, and I thought they were going to utilize him in a different way. But when you can't block it, it becomes tough for somebody.
I think the injury hurt, obviously.
Yeah,
so.
And Jared said this too, where that's who he is at this point.
Yeah,
because you're asking him to do something he probably didn't expect to do when he came to LSU, is be a starter as a freshman and then be a 3-down back as a sophomore. Yeah. You can't go anywhere else. You have a cornerback turned quarterback turned running back.
Right.
As your second leading rusher.
Right. All right. Unsung star of the team so far.
You want me to go?
Are you going to take my pick?
I got a good idea where Mikey's going with this one.
Yep, I've already mentioned this.
Go ahead. Take him.
I mean, I think it's hard to not.
Go ahead, stand on the table. You've been wanting to say this shit.
This is your moment.
I think it's hard not to say Jack Pyburn.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
was not expecting that.
I think it's hard to say. It's hard for you not to say Jack Pyburn. I love Kyle Parker. I want to talk, but I don't. It hasn't been.
In pick 2.
You can't. No. You can't call him the unsung star yet because he had one breakout game, right? Like this is through the course of the first 5 weeks.
13-10 ball game if you don't break out.
What's that?
13-10 ball game. You didn't break out. I think he's been there. He's been so consistent for you.
Correct, but to me, Jack Pyburn, what he's been doing on that defensive line, doing all the dirty work, he brings a physicality that you have to have on the defensive front. He does all the things that doesn't really get noticed. He doesn't have a ton of sacks. He's not going to have a ton of tackles, but he's pushing guys back. He's getting pressures on the quarterback. He's allowing other guys to make plays, and he was all over the field against South Carolina. And he was putting Lenore Sellers, in a position where he had to go out
and conflict
and make some plays. And so I've been very happy about how he's played. Now hopefully he can have one of those games where he has a few sacks and he gets rewarded for his hard work.
Do you think that Mikey's so entrenched in the Kyle Parker camp that it's not even a breakout for him? It's just like this is he just been seeing it.
No, I said it was a breakout, but you can't talk about he did it for one game. I think he's good. I think he's going to continue, but my unsung star is someone who's been doing it for the first half of the season, and that's a Jack Pyburn for me.
He's talking himself out of the Kyle Parker camp, the number one
fan.
No,
I love Kyle Parker. I'm the number one Kyle Parker fan.
That's true. It's a shocking pick.
I'm about to buy a jersey.
KP.
Yeah.
Who's yours?
So mine would be, I'm going to go 2. I got 2 together. They sit together. They actually play together. They feed off of each other. And the way they've come in and played and kind of shored up that part of the defense, it's hard for me to go away from Tamarcus Cooley and A.J. Halsey.
Yep.
I just think Cooley and Halsey, the way they played at the back end of that defense, Halsey by being so strong in the run game, and he's got a couple picks too this year, and then Cooley on the other end kind of roaming at that free safety at that center field spot. I love what they've been able to come in and do because it reminds me so much of what I grew up seeing LSU safeties do.
Yep.
Like
it's hard to disagree because it's such a stark difference from the last 2 years to where you don't even, it's not even a question.
Right.
Like those two, either Cooley or Halsey's going to make a play.
Yep.
And Halsey's instincts and his ability to make a snap decision.
He's got to be leading the team in tackles, right?
It would be, it would be hard pressed not to think so. He's everywhere.
The way he's come up in run support is just
crazy.
It's been impressive, man. It's been really good.
I will give you my unsung hero, and that is one Grant Chadwick. Punter,
good one
for LSU.
Minus the 2 shanks last weekend, but
that's fine.
Yeah,
he's giving himself some leg room.
I'm not gonna say anything, but I see what y'all are doing.
He also had a 71. Easy. I thought you were gonna go Bernard Gooden.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I should have. I didn't get milk checked.
I thought you were gonna do that. I thought you were going Bernard Gooden.
From what I saw from Gooden though in camp, that wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
Chadwick was as bad as your punt game had been, and then for him to come in and shore it up, he could have had He's averaging 48 yards a punt, which is nearly 50. As long of 71, he's put 9 inside the 20.
Yeah.
And for a defense that is as good as it is,
it's a weapon when you have a defense like that.
It's a weapon
for sure. All right, last one, and this one is I think difficult to name right now. MVP of the team so far, first half of the season.
Lloyd, lead us.
Yeah.
I think me and Lloyd are on the same page of this one.
MVP of the team so far this season.
You want me to go?
You go ahead.
I'm not going to pick a player. Because I don't think a player has been the MVP so far of the season. Obviously, we talked about how good the defense has been with all of the most impressive.
I'm glad you're going this way. I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think MVP of the season is Blake Baker. That's what I think. I think the way
Another white. No.
That's not my intent.
What have we done?
That's not my intent.
I ain't say that, bro. I ain't say that.
That's not my intent. But I mean, it's hard to give like an MVP. I don't know. I just think that what he's done with the defense, the guys he brought in, and how good the defense has been. He's brought back old school LSU defense, and we haven't seen that in a minute. And it's very needed for this season.
Not the allegations at all.
Just can't beat him.
Yes.
Can't beat him.
Damn.
I'm not doing that. Listen, I'm not doing that. I'm going to just keep it straight up because he has been an absolute rock. And he's been mentioned before. Give me Mansour delay. Straight up.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was going to do that. It was just hard because, like, they don't throw at him. So it's like he hasn't been able to make those super splash plays, which kind of sucks because I want to see him.
Too good.
Yeah, he's too good. But, yeah, he obviously has been the best player on the team.
I think the MVP, though, it's hard not to pick Baker if you could go the coach route. If you go the player route, I really don't know.
If you could go the player route, what do you mean?
I'm saying if you can go the coach route is what I meant to say. Like Blake Baker, it really does feel like I don't know where this team is without this defense.
Correct.
And I don't know if there is an MVP in terms of a player. If it's outside of Mansour Lane, he's been your best player.
I mean, before you give your answer, too, you got to understand, like, everything that they're doing right now is stuff that Blake Baker wanted to do last year.
Correct.
So to give the MVP to someone who's not actually playing, understanding that the player has to be able to go out there and perform what the coach is asking, is crazy to me.
I know. I get it. I get it. But, like, I just haven't had some – I mean, look, Mansour Lane is the best player on the field. He's the top of the first-round guy. Like, he's been the most impressive. It was all consensus for everybody. I just, as far as – it's a shame he's been that good that they don't target him enough for him to make the impact plays that we need to see him make. But they just don't throw it to him because he's that good. You know what I mean? It's just, hey, we're just not going to throw that. And I guess that would make an MVP that we're just going to cut one half of the field.
Yeah,
down.
that's what I'm saying. We just already used him,
Yeah.
so I wanted to spread the love.
Right. By far the best player on the team. Like, that's no question. No doubt.
You have nobody on offense you can really pick.
Nobody on offense.
Trey does?
You can talk.
The offense hasn't opened it up yet. I don't really think
that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it like
there
there should be an open shut case to Nussmeier, but it's the opposite.
Right.
And that's
hasn't
why.
opened it up yet. And I'm honestly, and I'm being serious when I say this, I'm not that surprised. I do think the injury has really kind of slowed this down more than what we think, or more than probably what we hoped it would have. But I'm not that surprised. They had so many mouths to feed. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised this is taking a while for it to come together. Right. I talked about this for a long time, man.
Did?
I said, I get it. The quarterback is in year 2, and usually that has been the calling card for a huge jump. But a lot of these year 2 situations that we've seen all over the place, the guys he's throwing to, the chemistry guys, it's been their year 2 as well. And he doesn't have a lot of that. There's Aaron Anderson back, and there's Xavier Thomas back. And then the rest of these guys who you would expect were going to actually play a big part in what they did this year, they were not here last year.
Right.
So I expected this to take them a while, and it's doing exactly that.
Yep. No, you're 100% right.
Yeah, if I had to give it to a player, I guess it would be outside of Delane, I think it'd be Trey does. I mean, he scored your biggest touchdowns in your biggest games. Even against Ole Miss, he caused the touchdown.
Yeah. Hey, he targeted him.
Yeah.
And look, hopefully when we do this at the end of the season, it looks a lot
hopefully
different.
It's nuts.
And it's a lot more offensive players in this thing because there's a lot of season left for them to go out there and make a huge impact.
Oh, no, not again. Weston Davis.
I'm not saying – I didn't say no. You said nuts. I just said hopefully there was a lot more on the offensive side.
Aaron Anderson.
That go out there and make plays. So, all right. That's all we got for you on this beautiful Wednesday night. We'll be back live in studio on Friday. Let's get to the Seggies. Mistake of the day, Lloyd.
The mistake of the day, you hinted at it earlier, but it does feel like that, I guess the news getting out, is that a thing? Would you want to say that after there was an alleged leak of Billy Napier being extended, now Billy Napier being fired on his week off, how you lose your job when you ain't even working, Craig? I mean, how you get fired on your day off? Feels like Billy Napier.
No, there's a report saying that he'll be fired on Sunday. You know how that goes.
And so just the conjecture around all of this, maybe the mistake of the day. I did have it as, who's my guy? But it was a 2-minute video that really wasn't that interesting, but it is funny to see this man continually caught up in just news. And it is, what's his name?
Oh, Bernard Gooden's doubtful.
I know, that collarbone's real.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin drove his wife's Range Rover into a big fat tree, and he thinks it to the biggest garbage truck he's ever seen. And said 2-minute apology to his wife. Somehow he felt the need to put it on Twitter when he could just tell her. So Baldwin has been in the news a lot lately. He looks like he's aged about 20 years and 10 days. A lot going on with him, but the video was too long to play because it really wasn't that funny. It's just more tragic than anything. He's shot a person, and now he's wrecked a car, and he feels the need to continue to just be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
I think he was on Dancing with the Stars last night.
Well,
just there.
his wife's on it.
Oh, yeah, I think she get voted off.
She got voted off.
See, the hits keep coming.
Whit Week's also questionable.
Whit? For what? Just my body?
I think he's going to play.
Week 7, week 8, what is it? Yeah, it's that time.
Yeah, he's going to play, but Gooden being doubtful stinks.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, once he took the pads off, it felt like that was real. Damn.
Yeah. All right, curtain call.
Vegas knows this before we do. That's why
they're so good at it.
That's why they're so good at it.
Curtain call.
Curtain call. This is an old one, but we missed it, and this is on me. This is something that I am, usually have my finger on the pulse. I saw it. I sent it to the group chat. And then I forgot to play it. But over the weekend, and it's a shame that they didn't have the mullet here to soak in what Oklahoma State is trying to do to rally the troops. But this is the epitome of, it only takes one, boys. It only takes one.
I love it. I love it. Bring the energy.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's good, clean fun right there.
It is. That's college sports, whatever. That's no NIL. That's no transfer portal. That's just good old family fun there.
Yeah, I love it. I love the school, and I'm gonna do everything I can to rally them to a victory.
Apparently, the story goes it was his sister that bet him. I don't know the numerical amount. But it was either $5 or $15 to go over there and do that. Just to I bet you won't. And he's like, I mean, what else do we have to do? So he goes over there and does it by himself to win the bet. And then as it goes, one person, then 5 people, then 15, then 20, then 30, then 50. They didn't even win. But it's not about the score now. It's just about the school.
Just about the school. It's about the passion that they have.
Exactly.
No doubt. All right.
That might be. That's a great way to cap off the whitest show we've ever done.
Yeah. Jared, you got one?
Yeah, I got one. It is October, boys. It is the middle of baseball playoffs. It is the opportunity to get to the World Series, and obviously it's got some other people feeling the fever to it, if you will, as well. So I'm going to go shout out to the LSU baseball team for getting Leonard Fournette over there, who got on the mound and was able to hit 80 on the radar gun from the mound. It's
harder than you think.
I don't know what kind of baseball background he's got, but they got him on the gun, getting to 80 miles an hour. I respect it. I give him a little curtain call for it. If you didn't get a chance to see it, go check out either, I think, LSU's Instagram and or Leonard Fournette's Instagram himself. It's kind of impressive. And he's out there doing it in a muscle shirt. You kind of remind me of Jangalang a little bit from Light.
I got the video right here. Eddie Yaman wanted nothing to do with that. Behind the dish, he's like, this man looks like he's about to run you over.
LSU also going to the White House.
No idea where that thing ended up.
I mean, look, 80's harder than you think. Now I know you
never
crow hop.
said it was going to hit the mitt, but it crossed the plate somewhere.
They're fired up.
Yeah, he did it.
Shout out Lenny.
Shout out playoff Lenny. Playoff Lenny. Good for you.
I would love to see him get a full game in.
A baseball game? See him hit?
I mean, Spencer Ware ran over somebody.
Yes,
he had a background of playing baseball. He's got any of that.
He did run over somebody and then got me thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I will stay on the baseball train in a sense. I want Toronto to win the series. They're down 2-0 right now. They are playing their first ALCS game in Seattle since 2001 when they had an all-star team that did not make it to the World Series. They're looking for their first World Series appearance in the history of the organization. First inning, the new face of the franchise, Julio Rodriguez, hits a 2-run homer, second game in a row that he's hit a home run in the first inning. So did it in front of the big unit. He threw out the first pitch
nice
of the game. So all the stars are out there in Seattle, and Julio Rodriguez, who they don't call him the kid, but they call him something like that. I forget what his nickname was last year because he's a young guy and he was a superstar 2 years ago. He's performing. He's performing in front of the stars of Seattle and
J-Rod.
I thought it was A-Rod, J-Rod. Yeah, that's right.
He's very attractive.
Jesus.
I didn't know he had eyes like this.
Okay, Lloyd.
Oh my God, Lloyd.
Well,
He's a great player.
he is.
Born
Born to be a star.
For his first time in this situation, 2 home runs in the first inning, last 2 games, trying to get them to the World Series along with the big dumper. The big
Dumper and J-Rod.
All right, that's all we got for you on this beautiful Wednesday night. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you again live in studio from 1 to 2-ish on Friday talking gambling. Y'all can tail us. Y'all can fade us. Probably going to fade us.
I would
fade us. There you go.
I mean,
modeling pictures. We'll be back live in studio on Friday. Enjoy Thursday night football. There's some big-time games happening this weekend. We'll talk all about them. Hopefully give you some winning picks. Hopefully we get to win some money because we haven't done it yet this year. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't. You don't like watching us, but you like listening to us or anywhere you get your pods. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. See you on Friday. Peace.
Fireworks.
No, nothing.
It's the pin.
Nothing.
Nothing. I thought it was a good show.
That was a good
It's
show.
the lighting.
That's right. Road game.